Hey, this is John Cena, and you are watching this WWE Fan 13.
Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to be a WWE autograph collection. I will be showing you guys my autographs that are in my WWE Encyclopedia version 2. So here's that book right here. And you guys are probably asking, why are you just showing one autograph, like one autograph book? Why just one? Like, it's not gonna have enough autographs. Well guys, I promise you, this book has enough autographs to make an entire video. Like, this book, guys, if you're new or have not been following me for that long, this book is basically my prized possession. If you have met me in person at an autograph signing, or if you're one of my friends, or just a subscriber for the past few years, you guys know this book goes with me everywhere. So I have met people like John Cena, The Undertaker, Stone Cold. So many different people have an autograph in this book. And so that's why I want to show it off to you guys today, because this book alone is very special to me, so it deserves its own video. So with that being said, let's head over to my dining room table and let's get into showing you guys the autographs. Just to give you guys a quick look at the book, it's the WWE Encyclopedia version 2. And then here's the back. Okay guys, so as you see, I literally went through the entire book and marked off every autograph that I have in here. So with that being said, let's get started and I'll show you every autograph that I have in my WWE Encyclopedia version 2. So first off, we have Elle Snow. I met him during WrestleCon. And then next, we have Alberto Del Rio, which I met him at WrestleMania Access. Next, we have WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze. I had the pleasure of meeting her at WrestleMania. Next, we have one member of the APA, Farouk. I was able to meet him a few times, actually. So this specific time, I met him. I believe the signature was from WrestleMania Access. Next ones we have are my sister's favorite wrestlers, the Bella Twins. I had the pleasure of meeting them at WrestleMania Access a few years back. So as you see, there's both of their signatures. The next one is the Big Show. I was able to meet him during WrestleMania 34. Super nice guy. It was actually the second time I had met him. The first time I was able to meet him years ago in San Antonio. Next one we have Billy Gunn. I had him sign on this page because I believe I had him sign on his actual page, which is right next to it. I believe he offered to sign both of them, which was really cool of him. The next one we have, rest in peace, we have Bobby the Brain Heenan. Super nice guy. I met him a few times actually, and he signed it right there. Next, I was able to meet Bobby Lashley at WrestleCon a few years back, so I had him sign right there. And then over on this side, I was able to meet the Boogeyman at WrestleMania Access, so he signed right there. Up next, I met Booker T, super nice guy, and I'm very glad I was able to meet him here in El Paso. Next is a man that I've met a few times, and this is Bret Hart. I had him sign this during WrestleMania in New Orleans, I believe WrestleMania 30, so there's that. Next, I have Jerry Briscoe. I was able to meet him at WrestleMania Access. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Brawler. I was able to meet him at WrestleCon, and then right below him, we have Brother Love, who I also met at WrestleCon. Next up, I was able to meet Bushwhacker Luke at WrestleMania. I think it was about a day. I think it was the day he was getting inducted. I was able to meet him at WrestleCon. Next up, we have Carlito. I met him when he came to El Paso with a bunch of other independent wrestlers, and he was a super nice guy. Next, I was able to meet El Paso's own Chavo Guerrero. Super nice guy, and I met him at WrestleCon. Next up, I was able to meet Christian at WrestleCon as well, and he was just super nice. Next up, one of my favorites in this book, I was able to meet Chyna years ago in San Antonio at Alamo City Comic Con. One of the sweetest wrestlers I've ever met, and I'm so glad I was able to meet her before her passing. Like, one of the best moments I've had as a wrestling fan was meeting Chyna for sure. Next up, we have Cody Rhodes. I was able to meet him when he was still with WWE at WrestleMania Access. Alright, next up, I was able to meet Kurt Hawkins. I believe I met him at WrestleMania Access, but sometimes I just forget where I've met some people, but I'm pretty sure WrestleMania Access for Kurt Hawkins. Next up, we have Daniel Bryan. I was able to meet Daniel Bryan at a convention in San Antonio 2 summers ago. It was a great convention. I was able to meet Daniel, Finn, and Becky, so I was finally able to get him to sign this. Next up, we have Darren Young. I was able to meet him at WrestleMania Access along with Tamina Snuka. They were both very nice. And then over here, we have David Otunga, who I was also able to meet at WrestleMania Access. Next up, I was able to meet Demolition, Axe and Smash, at a convention in San Antonio many years ago. And so there they are. And then right below them, I was able to meet Derek Bateman, aka EC3, at WrestleCon a few years back as well. Next up, I was able to meet DDP Diamond Dallas Page at WrestleMania Access a few years back. So there's the signature right there. Next up, we have Diesel, aka Kevin Nash. I've met him quite a few times. So this specific signature was from a convention in Tucson. Next off, we have the show-off himself, Dolph Ziggler. I was able to meet him at WrestleMania Access. Next up is Drew McIntyre. I was able to meet Drew at WrestleMania 34 Access when he was with NXT, and very nice guy. Like, I recommend meeting him if you can. Next up, we have the Rated R superstar Edge. I was able to meet him in Tucson, Arizona with my nephew, Tyler, and he was overall super nice guy, and I would definitely meet him again if I had the chance. So there's his signature right there. Next up, I was able to meet Eric Bischoff at WrestleCon one year, and later I was also able to meet him at Access, but this signature specifically was from WrestleCon. Next up, I was able to meet Eugene at WrestleMania Access as well. Not at Access, at WrestleCon a few years back. Super nice guy. And then on over here, I was able to meet Evan Bourne, also at WrestleCon. And then below, we have Eve, who I was able to meet at WrestleMania Access. Next up, I was able to meet 2 members of the Fabulous Freebirds at WrestleMania Access. Next up, at WrestleCon, I was able to meet David Heath, also known as Gangrel. Super nice guy. Actually, has the exact look here when I met him, which was pretty cool. And then on over here, I was able to meet Gene Okerlund back during WrestleMania. I want to say it was WrestleMania 30, I believe, that I met him, or 31. Next, I was able to meet Goldberg at a convention in Tucson a few years back, along with Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Edge, Lita, a whole bunch of people. Goldberg was one of the main people signing. Next up, I was able to meet Goldust. This was the same day that I met Cody and had him sign his section of the book. Next up, at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Grandmaster Sexy. Super nice guy, and I was glad I was able to meet him. And then also at Access, I was able to meet the Great Khali. And guys, when I tell you this guy is huge, he is huge. And I had never felt so short in my life. Next up, I was able to meet Hacksaw Jim Duggan at WrestleMania Access. Next, I was able to meet Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He has also signed his portion of this book, so I have met him about 2 or 3 times, so I had him sign the Hart Foundation page. Next up, I was able to meet Heath Slater at WrestleMania Access. Next up, I was able to meet Hillbilly Jim, also at WrestleMania Access. And then at WrestleCon, I was able to meet the Honky Tonk Man. A big one in here, I was able to meet Hulk Hogan during WrestleMania 33 weekend with one of my best friends, Vince. We went to Hulk Hogan's beach shop, and we were able to meet Hulk Hogan. Next, during WrestleCon, I was able to meet the Hurricane, and as you see, he personalized it to Kayla Hurricane. I was also able to meet Howard Finkel during the same signing I met Mean Gene Okerlund. Next, I attended WrestleCon, and I was able to meet the Iron Sheik. Next up, I was able to meet Jack Swagger. He came to El Paso along with Carlito, John Morrison, Rey Mysterio, and a whole bunch of other wrestlers, and I was able to meet Jack Swagger. Next up, during WrestleMania Access, I had the pleasure of meeting Jacqueline. And then as well as WrestleCon, I was able to meet Jake the Snake Roberts. Next up, I was able to meet Jeff Hardy during WrestleCon along with Matt, which you'll later see Matt's signature as well. Next, I was able to meet Jerry the King Lawler at a convention in San Antonio called Alamo City Comic Con, and I have met him one other time, but I had him sign a wrestling figure. Next up, during WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Jim Cornette, and then also during the same during WrestleMania Access, I'm not sure if it was during the same WrestleMania, I met Jim the Anvil Neidhart along with Natty, which you'll later see Natty's signature in here. And then during a signing in San Antonio one year, I was able to meet Jim Ross. Next up is a man who I've met many times, Jimmy Hart, and it's a pleasure meeting him every time. This specific time I had him sign my encyclopedia, and other times I've had him sign figures and my other encyclopedias I have. Next up we have JBL. I met him during a convention, San Antonio, which is Alamo City Comic Con, and then here in El Paso, I was able to meet John Morrison along with all the other people like Carlito, Jack Swagger, Rey Mysterio, and whatnot. So there's John Morrison. Next up is my favorite signature in here. It is from my Make-A-Wish when I met John Cena. I had him sign this. Of course, I had to have him sign this because this book, like I stated earlier, is my probably most prized possession in my collection. Next up, we have Justin Roberts, a very nice guy to meet. He put 2 Kayla, follow your dreams, Justin Roberts. And I was able to meet him at WrestleCon. Next up, we have the big red monster, Kane. I was able to meet him during WrestleMania Access. Next up, I was able to meet Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania Access. Super nice guy. I met him along with Lillian. And then I was able to meet Coco Beware at WrestleCon. And then also at WrestleCon the same year as Coco Beware, I was able to meet Kurt Angle. At WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Larry Zbyszko. At WrestleCon, I was able to meet Road Warrior Animal. At WrestleCon, like I said, it was super nice, and I'm very glad I was able to meet him. And I was also able to wear his actual like vest, which was cool. Next up, I was able to meet Lex Luger at WrestleCon. Next up, when I met Kofi, like I had mentioned, I had met Lillian Garcia, so I had her sign her part of the encyclopedia, and then head on over here, and I was able to meet Lita a few times. This specific time, I met her in Tucson, Arizona. Next up, in the same convention where I met Lita in Tucson, I was able to meet Maria. Next up, at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And then at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Marty Jannetty. There's his full page. And then over here at a convention in San Antonio, I was able to meet Maurice. So there's her full signature. I want to say at Access I met Mason Ryan, but I could be wrong. It could have been WrestleCon. Like I said, one of those times where I've met so many people that sometimes I forget where. But at WrestleCon also I met Matt Hardy along with his brother Jeff Hardy. It was a cool experience, and it was when his son Maxwell was like literally like barely crawling, and he was there crawling around the little convention center, and it was just cute to see his son. And overall, Matt and Jeff were like super cool. And then over here at WrestleCon, I was also able to meet Matt Striker. So there's his signature right there. Next up, from WrestleCon, I was able to meet Mick Foley. Super nice guy. Definitely recommend meeting him. There's his full page right there. Next up, at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet the $1 Million Man. He does a lot of signings at Access. So if you ever go, you will more than likely have a chance to meet him because he literally does so many sessions. Next up, during WrestleMania 34 weekend, I went to Cricket Wireless, and Miz was doing a signing, and he's been one of my favorites since he was in ECW. So of course I had to take that chance and stand out there for hours and meet him. But thanks to a subscriber of mine, we were able to stand with them, and it was just a great experience. Next up, I believe I met him at WrestleCon. We have the Mountie. There's his signature right there and his full little page right there. Next up, we have Naomi. She signed it right there. As you can see, she has a very small signature. I've noticed every time I've met her. But yeah, there she is. I've met her at WrestleMania Access. And then over here, when I met her father, I also had Natalya sign her part of the book. Next, at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Nikolai Volkov, and he signed his part right there. Next up at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Pat Patterson. And then also, I was also able to meet Paul Ellering at WrestleMania Access as well. Fun fact, I have met Paul Bearer, and if you guys want to see a autograph collection of my rarest autographs, smash the thumbs up button, and I will get to that probably next week if you guys want to see it. Next up, one of my favorite guys I've ever met was definitely Paul Heyman. I was able to meet him at WrestleMania Access, and then I was able to meet Paul Orndorff at WrestleCon. Next up, I was able to meet the Powers of Pain, which, as you guys know, is a Barbarian and Warlord, and there's their photos at the bottom. Next up, I was able to meet Randy Orton, guys, for literally so cheap. During WrestleMania in Orlando, my friend Vince and I found tickets for him for I want to say $60. It was literally so cheap, and I'm so glad we were able to find those tickets. Because the seller was trying to get rid of them. There was a day of the night before the signing, so they literally lowered the prices so low for his tickets. Next up is a wrestler I've met quite often, and that is Razor Ramon. So I had him sign right here. Super nice guy. Next up, we have my childhood favorite, the reason I got into wrestling. I was able to meet Rey Mysterio. This time was during WrestleCon. He was doing a signing. And yeah, and then I was also able to meet Rhino during WrestleMania Access with Curtis Axel and with Heath Slater. Next up, I was able to meet Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania Access. Next is Ric Flair. I have met Ric Flair, I believe, 2 times. This time, during the signature, it was in Tucson, Arizona, and I was able to meet him there. It was super nice. Next up, I met Rikishi during WrestleCon a few years back. He actually put me on his Instagram. He gave me a t-shirt for free, and he was just a super nice guy. Next up, I met Rob Van Dam at Alamo City Comic Con. The same year I met Chyna and Farouk, JBL, and Lawler, and a few others. And it was cool because I was actually able to watch an interview, kind of like a Q&A panel that had RVD and Chyna, and my mom actually asked Chyna a question during this exact interview. Next up, I was able to meet Ronnie Garvin. Next, I was able to meet R-Truth during WrestleMania Access. Also a very nice guy, and I've met him twice, I believe. Next up, during WrestleCon, I was able to meet Sabu. And then also during WrestleCon a few years later, I met the Sandman. And then at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Santino. At WrestleCon, I was able to meet Scott Putski. And then also at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Scotty 2 Hotty. At WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Sergeant Slaughter, which he was one of my brother's favorites growing up, and is one of the wrestlers I always heard about. So when I saw him, I was like, okay, I gotta go meet him. Next, I met at WrestleCon. I was able to meet Shawn Michaels. It was during his first WrestleCon appearance. These tickets went so quick, and luckily my mom and I were able to get some, and we were able to meet Shawn Michaels. Next up, I believe I met him during WrestleCon, Shelton Benjamin. Next up, Sankara. He came to El Paso and did a signing, so I had him sign the Encyclopedia and the wrestling figure. Next up, I met the Steiner brothers during WrestleCon, excuse me. So there's their full. Next up, one of my literally biggest autographs in here, I was able to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleCon in WrestleMania 34. Literally the wait for this was huge, but it was so worth it. Next up, we have Tamina Snuka. I was able to meet her during WrestleMania Access, the same time I met Darren Young. And then at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Tatanka. Next up, at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Terry Reynolds. At the convention in Tucson, Tiffany was there. And I bought an all-access autograph signing, so I was able to meet everybody there, including Tiffany. Next up, in San Antonio at Alamo City Comic Con, I was able to meet El Matador, Tito Santana. Then at WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Titus O'Neil. Then at WrestleCon, I was able to meet Tommy Dreamer. At the convention in San Antonio, Alamo City Comic Con, Lita and Trish Stratus were doing like a signing together, so I had Trish sign her part of the book. Next up, guys, yes, if you have not been following my channel for a while, I did meet The Undertaker in Austin, Texas at Wizard World Comic Con. It was literally the best time ever. If you guys want to go see the video, I have a video up. I vlogged during that trip, and it was just amazing. Like, The Undertaker, guys. The freaking Undertaker. Next up, during WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet the Usos. I have met them quite a few times, and they are very, very nice guys. So, there are their autographs right there. Next up, we have someone who I've kind of become friends with, Vickie Guerrero. This signature is from when I first met her, and we first started talking at WrestleCon in Orlando, and now you guys know she has come on my channel, done videos. Like, I'm friends with her on her personal Facebook. We talk often. This very nice lady. If you guys ever get to meet Vickie, please do, because you will not regret it at all. She gives you all her time, and she's just super nice. Next up, we have Victoria. I was able to meet her in Tucson, Arizona with the all-exclusive pass that I had. Next, during WrestleMania Access, I was able to meet Wade Barrett. And I believe these are the last two autographs in my book. We have the Wild Samoans. I was able to meet them during WrestleMania Access. So as you see, we have Alpha and Sika. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys loved seeing all the autographs I have just as much as I loved looking over them again and remembering all the times I met all these wrestlers. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on Wednesday's video.
Are you a supporter of the Marine Corps?
Absolutely.
Great, because a former decorated member of the United States Marine Corps needs your support.
And his name is John!